of character. Maybe they're a hero in some way. They have service oriented, but they're not in the government. Do you want that, or do you want somebody that knows how to get things done, but maybe the character isn't quite as good or something like that? What do you see as being the better quality to have?
So if someone's going to war for me, I want a soldier, not a saint.
We believe in all the F words: faith, family, football, and fitness. Check us out on the Richard Neese Podcast every Saturday morning on WKUL.
Please subscribe. Please help us out by growing the channel. We want to help good people get to a better place. Hey everybody, Richard Neese here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Richard Neese Podcast. If you guys haven't been with us before, this is your first time listening, we believe in helping good people get to a better place. We believe in cleaning up our community. The whole point of this podcast is to help you. We want to give you insight. We want to help you learn from our experience, our mistakes, our successes, and that's why we put this together. My name is Richard Neese. I've got some experience in business and real estate investing and fitness. We got a little bit of everything. Dominic, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, I'm Dominic Gill. Also have a little bit of experience in real estate, not in fitness, but in definitely in the family part.
Fitness, whole donut in my mouth.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, I'm really experienced in that right there. You know, I'm really good at doing the old curl with the
12-ounce curl.
Yeah, the 12-ounce curl, except it's usually with Coke and not with beer.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So that my biggest experience is probably in the family's aspect of it. So proud father of 8, proud father.
That's right. Well, we have different topics on our show. If this is the first time for you guys listening, we talk about fitness, we talk about faith, family, football, all the F words, as Dominic likes to say. We also talk about business and real estate, politics. Really, we'll talk about anything. If it's coming up, if we think there's value to be added, we'll talk about it. One thing I wanted to discuss today is the District 11 race in Alabama. So we're from North Alabama. If you guys are listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, if you're listening on WKUL, thank you guys. We appreciate you guys. Please continue to like, share, comment on our YouTube page, on our Facebook, on TikTok, on Rumble. We got all sorts of different things.
Yeah, we're about everywhere. We're about everywhere.
But we've got an interesting race, a special election called for District 11 for the state of Alabama for a House rep in our state, and it's really bringing out some different takes. Dom, have you been following that race at all? You're actually in District 11. I don't know if you know that or not.
No, I did not know that.
So you'll be voting next Tuesday on this race.
Oh, okay. Well, I was a District 12 guy in the last one.
That's right.
So. I have a lot more takes on the District 12, and unfortunately, now that I know that, I won't be voting in District 12, or how's that work on that?
Yeah, you'll be voting this Tuesday for the primary if you're Republican, if you register Republican.
Yeah.
There's only one Democrat candidate, so that's important. A lot of people don't even know where they're registered to vote at or what district they're in. I actually had to look up District 11 because we're really, really close to District 12. I'm actually the last house most westerly in District 11. So I was joking with my wife about I would run for this spot before these two guys put in their name. It was like, oh, I'm not even in that district. And then I'm like, oh, yes, I am. So I could.
Oh, wow. So okay, this is news to me. So, breaking news here that I've found out that I'm actually going to be now I have to be involved in this.
That's right.
Dang it. So educate me on that now, because
I'm not going to go after either candidate on this. I think they're probably both good men. But what I really wanted to discuss, Don Fallon and Heath Albright are the candidates on this. They both have somewhat different background. One's a veteran, I think 30-year veteran. The other's a businessman, local, that's done a lot of forestry, and he was actually on the school board. So you have different angles on this. But my thought or my question on this is, are the gloves always on in Alabama? Should we take off the gloves when it comes to politics? What does that really mean? Dominic, do you think that we should be discussing the negative side of these candidates through media, or do you think that it should be more hands-off and we just look at the stuff that they give us? Transparency versus playing dirty, I guess.
I mean, honestly, my take may be way different. Even though
I want to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though that you should go and judge people by their moral character and things that they have done before, I think that is an important factor. The fact is that I want a politician to represent me, regardless of what they've done in the past that they could have or whatever. Their main job is to serve the best interest of their people, just with the same way that I view as a real estate agent, is that I see a lot of real estate agents that are self-serving, that do not take their own, that they don't take pride in agency.
Shocker, you heard it here first.
Right.
There are a lot of real estate agents that are self-serving. Okay, so
Yeah, and so
realtors.
Realtors, not no realtors here. I always thought about starting my own association called the Realtors, like actually Realtors. Anyways, we'll go back to this right here. So someone's character and any things that may have happened in the past, to me, is very secondary to what they want to do up front on the first place. Sure. What their policy is, what's going to be, because first and foremost, their personal life should not interfere with their job. Just like most people's personal lives don't interfere with their job. You really never see that happen. So to me, I take such a small amount of weight to any aspect like that. I don't know if there's any scandals of that kind on these people.
But one of the candidates that has a lot more of a Montgomery backing as far as financially goes. And so that's been one of the main topics inside of the campaign, is that one of the candidates has like $70,000 in campaign funds. The other has like 35, with the $70,000 being a lot from PACs inside of Montgomery. So the narrative is...
I got a weird take on... maybe not a weird take.
Yeah.
The dude knows then he knows how to get something done. I mean, the thing is that if you can go through and make something happen and raise that much capital for a campaign, then you should be able to go and raise to go and do the same campaigning in Montgomery for your own interests and for your own things. Now,
so I think that is the strength, and that's the positive side of it. I think that what a lot of people are looking at is the negative side, which means like when it actually happened, the election, somebody stepped down, somebody that had been there for 30 years, 20 years, Randall Shedd. I don't know if you know Randall, but
I know of him.
He stepped down. We had this big controversy with the lake bill, the SB 322 that we talked a little bit about before. And then before we really even declared as a candidate, or like right when it happened, the guy had $40,000 in funds. So it kind of looked like it was all coordinated. Now, I'm not saying it is, not saying it isn't. I don't know the insider politics, but that is the take of a lot of people in the other camp is this guy was basically groomed to step into this position. And anybody that raises that many funds, the question is, are they bought and paid for, or are they just good at networking like you're talking about? They have the right people backing them. I can see.
I don't know anything about anything, so this is not scripted or me pre-planned. You're bringing this on.
No, I want to hear that, because that's what most people are working every day, right? You're going out to work and you're trying to earn a living, and then you see a mailer pop up and it says, oh, this person has received this much money from everybody in Montgomery. So the first thought is, why did he get that much money from that? The other piece of that is they did a transparency piece, I think it was on the Coleman Tribune, where it looked at all the election campaign funds, and the other side had tons of funds from out of state. And so people start saying, oh, what's going on with this? And so it was interesting because each one of them have a reason why they have the funds from that place. I love the transparency aspect of it, and I don't think that we should put the gloves on for politics. I don't necessarily think we should be going after family members, but if you're going to put yourself in the spotlight, then you need to understand that people are going to attack your character. Dominic, you work with a lot of guys in car sales, right?
Oh yeah.
And used car sales. So if I'm
all car sales, but mainly used,
used car sales. So if I'm looking at a car and I say, all right, I've got this, let's say a F-150 and a Ram 1500. What am I going to want to know? Just the good things of it? I'm going to look at reviews, right? And the reviews are going to say, well, the transmissions aren't good on this year model. This engine isn't good. So we're making a car decision based off of both the positives and
Did
the
you research before? Because the F-150s, depending on the EcoBoost, does have engine issues.
Yeah. So,
and the Ram had
research on it.
Rams transmission.
Have transmission issues, yeah.
I was like, well, that was pretty specific. You must have done your real research on this.
I didn't, but I'm a car guy now, part owner in a dealership. So, you got to know these things. Not truly a dealership, but I help support, I'm help funding a used car dealership. So,
right.
But you look at that and you don't want just the good, right? Mm-hmm. Well, this car can do this for you. This truck can do this for you. Well, what are the negatives? How long is it going to take before I start putting money into this? Mm-hmm. So if we look at a car decision that way, shouldn't we look at voting decisions that way? I mean, shouldn't we be able to see that? Now, I don't want to see, well, this guy's wife went on a crazy binge, 4 years ago or 40 years ago, and we shouldn't vote for it. I don't care about that. Yeah. They handled that. I don't really want to know about it. I don't want to mudslung that way. But when it comes to transparency and funding, I want to see that. If this guy is a raging alcoholic, I want to know that too, because That is a public
You don't want
knowledge.
You don't want to make someone making decisions.
That's right.
Whenever they may be on
Altered state. Yeah, absolutely. Are they recovering? Have they recovered? I don't know where that line stops at, but I at least want to know that. Maybe you find strength and comfort in the fact that let's say on the alcoholic thing. This alcoholic that has recovered had the strength to do that. He's seen the lowest of lows, and now he or she.
Yeah.
So there's strength.
Overcoming adversity is
or
a
you
great
may
thing
be,
to have.
you're in the Bible Belt, and oh my gosh, anybody that drinks alcohol should never be in office.
Right.
And that may be the other piece of it, but that is the story that you're telling. That's the life that you've lived, and that's why people are trusting you or not trusting you based off of those things. So why wouldn't we include that? So I see that as being more, I really want to see more transparency. I want to see the truth come out. If you've got tons of business interests that align with folks down in Montgomery, that may not be a bad thing, but it may be a bad thing. We've talked about this before. I won't run for mayor. I won't run for council member in the areas that I live in because I want to improve the community. Why do you think I would say that, Dom? Any ideas?
You don't want to, or
That's right.
Because you don't want to go and take special interest in areas that you want to serve everybody, not yourself.
That's right. Well, yes and no. So if I'm a mayor, can I invest in that community?
This week.
Financially?
No, that's big conflict.
Can.
Oh, you can? Okay.
can.
I'm very, very.
But you can only invest in losing things. Because if you make a profit, it could be considered an ethics violation because some sort of decision that you made could do that. So what I see is I can make a bigger difference as an investor in areas than I can as the mayor working on policies. Now, when you start talking about governors, house reps, maybe that's not the case, but that's why I wouldn't get involved in local politics in the sense of running for something. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. No, I never thought of it that way.
So we had some scandals happen in Coleman County a few years ago where there was a conflict of interest that came up and somebody was removed from office and actually faced with jail time potentially for conflict. So for me, it's like, there's no way if I want to improve my community, I want to go fix something and I can make a profit off of it. If I can give the people what they want, why in the world would I put myself at risk of somebody saying, I don't like you, I'm filing an ethics complaint?
Right.
There's no way I would do that.
Yeah. If you're in Vinemont, you're putting up an ice machine in Vinemont, but you're the mayor of Vinemont. It looks fishy.
It does.
Even though there's really nothing fishy about it,
Well, and
just a
you think
business inside.
And here's how how big of an issue this can be. Like somebody could look up the zoning regulations on that from 70 years ago and say this doesn't comply with that zoning ordinance from 70 years ago, even though there's no zoning ordinance that have been enforced there in the last 70 years.
Right.
But because you're the mayor, you're taking advantage of this system. Because you're a council member, you're taking advantage of this system.
Right.
I've seen it happen in our small town. One issue that popped up was you had a council member that was living in his business. He had a loft inside of his business that wasn't zoned residential. It was never an issue until it became a council member. And then when that council member started pushing back on some folks that were causing issues inside of the community, then that came up at the council meeting. Interesting. That wasn't enforced for 20 years while you're doing it. But when you're in that position, it's like, okay, now you receive special favors because you're a council member. No, but you can be held in an ethics violation because of that, which can lead to jail time. So we want to stay away from that. So where I was at on that to begin with was, I want to know if you have interest there. And obviously, there's not going to be a lot of disclosures happening in Montgomery that I'm going to hear about once you're elected. But before then, you can see where everything kind of ties in and say, wait a minute, is this putting somebody too close to the hen house, putting a fox in the hen house, something like that? I don't know. Maybe that's the case. The other thing I want to discuss with you, Dominic, real quick was we've talked about a good person before, right? And we've talked about having the abilities before. So what I see in this race in particular is you have two pretty good guys from what I can tell, but one is standing on their character and pushing back on the other one, saying that you're being bought. That one that has character doesn't necessarily have any experience in government. So what does that mean? I mean, is that, would you rather have somebody of character in that position of character? Maybe they're a hero in some way, they have service oriented, but they're not in the government. Do you want that? Or do you want somebody that knows how to get things done, but maybe the character isn't quite as good or something like that? What do you see as being the better quality to have?
So if someone's going to war for me, I want a soldier, not a saint.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, and the soldier has to get their hands dirty sometimes.
That's right.
And so that's just my honest opinion about it all, is that, character and stuff, although is important, But whenever you need someone who's going to fight for you, you need them to get down. You need them to go in. You need to have them know that they have the tools equipped to fight back.
That's right.
And they're willing to go and take those steps.
That's exactly. Just because you're willing doesn't mean you have the ability to do it either.
Right.
I mean, I'm willing to play NBA ball right now.
Right.
5'8". 37 years old. I'll go out there and I'll give my best shot. I promise you, nobody will try harder than I will. That ain't filling no seats.
Right. Exactly.
I'm not scoring any points.
Exactly. And so that's my take on it all. Again, I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't know anything about anybody. In fact, I kept my nose clear of it because up until 30 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, I didn't even know that I was voting in this. I recently moved to my new location in a new area where previously I was in District 12. Right. Now I realize because we're in the same vicinity. So now I guess I'm getting educated right now. So I don't know who's who. Right. I do not know who's who in this right here. I see stuff on Facebook. I ignore it because it's like, it's not my place, not my district. I don't care because I'll let them deal with it. But all I got to say is that whenever someone's showing a lot of character, doesn't necessarily mean that that person is always going to make the best decisions to fight for what your best needs and your best interests for the people.
Sure.
And sometimes that means they're going to fight for the best interests of themselves. But it's like during the primaries back in 2016 with Donald Trump the first time around.
Right.
I was a big Ben Carson guy.
Right.
Big Ben Carson guy.
I like Ben.
And it was because of character and
intelligence.
I mean, everywhere's possible. But
his struggle.
But Trump was the fighter. Trump was the fighter.
That's right.
Trump was willing to go get down and get dirty, get a deal done.
That's exactly right.
And so that's kind of how I look at that, is that I definitely would rather have somebody like a Donald Trump who's more willing to take the blows to get something done versus somebody who's going to have a certain level of character. Again, I don't want someone who has no character either. You know what I'm saying? This is
you don't want
this is a gray.
There's a lot of
grays in this right here.
I agree. But and then you start looking at, do most people think like we do too? That's the other perspective.
No. And when you're doing local politics, what I find, it's about who you know, who you're friends with, who your uncle has dealt with in the past, what he's done for you, somebody. So it's a lot of these little personal connections,
you have name recognition. So name recognition goes both ways. Like if you're an Albright, if you are a Willingham, if you're a Yoder, I mean, those are names around here that people hear like, oh my gosh, I know who those people are. And his daddy was a good man, his grandpa was a good man. I know they're cousins, whatever that is. So you have name recognition. Calvert's, that's. I mean, there's lots of names like that. I mean, you could go all the way down to Vosses locally. I mean, things like that are pretty powerful. There's lots of guilds around too, so you got a reputation there.
Hey, we started it. We're the.
So there's name recognition in stuff like that. Dodson in Monmouth. I mean, Mayor Dodson, his family's been there for a long time, and they've been there. So you look at that. There's positives, but I was talking to Dan Willingham about this. He said, the best thing about his sister was running for, I believe, state Supreme Court or something like that. He said, what the best thing is about having the name Willingham is, don't you? You have name recognition. He said, what the worst thing about running for the office with the name recognition is, you have name recognition. So it could be good or bad. There are people there. You're going to be the bad guy in somebody's story, and you look at it on that side. It's like, okay, yes, it can be a double-edged sword. Let's say that.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, I'm not endorsing any candidate of the way on this platform. I just wanted to kind of talk about different perspectives, because I think that if you had somebody that would be very different than me, right? So in Coleman County, if you had, let's say, a Hispanic woman that's 70 years old, 65, 70 years old, what does she respond to versus a white male business owner? What is she going to look at? What is grandma going to look at? What is an 18-year-old kid that just graduated high school going to look at? You've got so many different demographics, and you think about the mail outs that went out. Well, I can't tell you the last time I looked at my mail, to be honest with you. Yeah. My wife looks at it. She tells me the bills. We pay the bills, and that's about it. But you have a lot of people that maybe in their 60s, 70s, 80s, their sole form of communication may be mail and a big button phone, Well,
I will say the other day I did get a coupon from a local pizza for a pizza place, and that I saw the pizza place like, hey, wait, here's a coupon. I'm going to get that today. So that was probably the last time I actually looked at the mail.
Sure.
Like actually went through.
My daughter does that same thing. She gets excited every time she sees the Marcos.
100% the same one. It was Marcos that got me.
Marcos.
I was not trying to name drop them, but yeah.
If you're out there and you're listening to our show,
Yeah.
the likelihood is probably pretty slim. But if you are, it's working. Keep doing what you're doing. But yeah, my daughter gets super excited. She's 13. She loves couponing. She loves getting a deal. And so when she saw that, she's like, "Oh, this week we're gonna go. We're gonna save some money."
My sister got into couponing, and it was she got obsessed with it, and it's a fun way to save money for people. It's absolutely it's fascinating whenever you see where she would go through and get $200 worth of stuff. I don't even say it's not even usable stuff. It's just stuff she would get, and then it cost her $15-20 for it all. It's insane.
I'd love to get my daughter involved in that. She and I have talked about doing that and basically providing free stuff for some of our workers, free stuff for the community as a whole, and just have a warehouse and basically come and get it once a week. And
your little food pantry.
Food pantry type deal.
Yeah.
That can be cleaning supplies. It can be whatever. Just being able to use use that skill to provide, but also give to others. We've talked about that a good bit.
Great idea for that right there. But
I may be hitting you up. I may get your sister to teach her a little bit about that sometime.
Yeah. I mean,
is she still doing it at all? Or she quit that addiction? So
no. I don't think she quit the addiction. She's doing I think she has a remodel job, and they've been remodeling her home. And since then, she's been kind
all
of
the
fell
savings.
off the wagon.
All the savings just went straight into that, right?
Yeah. So she kind of fell off the wagon on that right there. But oh gosh, yeah, she was very, very obsessed at one point. All that to say is that mailouts don't normally work in politicking.
But there's been a big controversy about that because the mailouts came in and one of the candidates took it as an attack on their character. I didn't think it was quite that, but I mean, I could see how you can make that inference. What I really liked was that the Coleman Tribune came back in and they said, here's transparency. Here is the spending and the fundraising. We're not siding with either side. It doesn't matter to us. Here's what we're showing you. I think that's been good overall. They've also talked about some debates and stuff. I mean, I want to see that because if you can't get up on a debate stage, you're going to struggle in politics.
I disagree with that to a certain extent. I agree if at a certain level it's important, but there are people who are really good debaters. Like, for instance, I don't know if you go into the national scene and stuff, but there's this guy named Destiny. He's a blue-haired, he's outlandish, but probably one of the best debaters out there. Very progressive. But I'm talking his debating skills is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But the dude is an absolute jerk. And like when he doesn't make
So
good.
you think the skill outweighs the policy?
Exactly.
That's it. I can see that.
So I think that honestly it comes down to whenever you make a decision, very rarely in local politics do you have to make a decision right on the spot, gut reaction on something, where a debate is like you can have a moment where they catch you on something where you have no ability to do your own research to kind of make that decision. So to me, a debate is not a good a good test to see if that person is a valid leader.
Test,
I just don't see that the ability to debate somebody should not qualify as a leader. All it means is that you can debate well. Ben Shapiro always is one of the best debaters in the world. I disagree with him on so many things, and I think he's flawed in a lot of areas. I think he's a highly intelligent and a great debater.
You think there's so much emotion involved in that? Like you get
It's about gotchas. It's about gotchas.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So
and also the question layout. I mean, there's lots of things there. I can see that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll concede that point in this debate. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not. If it came off as a debate, didn't mean it that way. But at the same time, it's like when you look at a debate.
That was me making a joke, Dominic. I know you don't see that very often, but that was me making a joke. It's not like I'm rolling down the hill or something, right?
Callbacks. Anyway, so I guess for me, it's like when people make a decision that in politics, they don't do it on a reaction. So I don't think that debating in itself is going to be important. All you can do is get someone's raw reaction on
Maybe
something.
we should just have pen pal, like go back and forth, get the questions, go back and forth.
I mean,
you have the
honestly,
time to write it up, send it over.
A written response wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because it means that they actually put in thought, research into something.
Maybe that's something we should push. It's not instant. No, it's not about how well you can speak. Of course, nowadays we just throw it in ChatGPT, right? This is what I believe.
100%. Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, that's true. It's more dangerous now to do something like that too. But at the end of the day, I don't hold much respect to debates whenever it comes down to that.
So what is it that you're looking at? I mean, what we talked about, it's not necessarily the track record. We're not talking about debates at that point. Character, I mean, it's a toss-up. So what is an ideal candidate for you?
An ideal candidate for me is someone who aligns with what they want to push forward on their policies. What is their vision that they want to see for their community that they're trying to grow? What is the end game that they're trying to get for people and where they want to pursue for everyone so that we can have just a future to look forward to? And so
should you have standard questions that you send to every candidate? Hey, I'm in your district and this is what I want to know. How do you think we should approach this? What is your vision on this? Maybe that's something we should start doing and send to each candidate. We'll have a District 12, right? We could post that out there and then see what people really stand by.
So yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things is that if I was in District 12, the candidate I would support, first of all, I know him pretty well. I know,
Yeah.
But everything that I've seen him do outside of me knowing him was, even though it was controversial for some of the community members, it was also, I saw it as a net benefit for the whole community.
Now, I'm not running for this office. I told you.
No.
Another joke. That's two of them.
Yeah, two. I'm gonna go in the car and laugh when I'm done with this.
I need a laugh track in about
All the same, it's like for whenever you see that, and again, for me, it's not only about, again, I do know him and I do know what he's about and I do appreciate his character, but overall, what I see about this candidate is what he's done for the community that he's currently serving.
Sure.
And the growth that was seen under there that I view as complete positives for Coleman that I've seen. And again, a lot of people, oh, there's too much growth. Oh, we got another business. Oh my gosh, we got another event. Well, how many festivals do we need? And why do we need a water park? Why do we need, and all these things I saw was just added to the growth of Coleman in a positive way. Whereas you get a lot of people say, well, we don't want to be like X so-and-so community for whatever. We don't want to be like that, but they haven't grown in that way.
So I'll say that the city of Coleman has had net positive with the leadership it has now. I'm not going to say it's full positive. I think there are some drawbacks.
Absolutely. And no one's perfect.
If you go on a diet, there's going to be some hunger pains. And I understand that, but that's to get your body looking better. If you're working out, there's going to be some soreness. I understand that too. Leaning a little bit more libertarian, I think that they're aggressive on their government policies as far as enacting.
I agree with that too.
But it doesn't appear that the investors are willing to invest in this area without the government pushing that. So I can see both sides of that, and I actually want to have a conversation with that person pretty soon. So, but anyways, I cut you off. I apologize.
Oh no, it's no problem. So we're down to the last couple minutes on it all.
We are.
So I guess we're going to go and avoid the Pope conversation.
I mean, I guess so. We're going to have time on that one. I think there's going to be tons and tons of stuff put out. I would like to be a little more well-versed on it before I discuss as far as I don't know exactly what Pope Leo's stances are. I mean, he's American, but is he really American? He hasn't been here for the last 20-something years. He's been in South America and Peru and Italy. And so does he have the same American values and pushing towards the conservative side? I don't really know. So I'd like to do some research, Tom, and maybe you should come up with some questions and us to kind of discuss those on the next episode.
Yeah, to answer your question on that right there, no.
That's what
the majority of what you said is a no on that right there. And some of it I'm glad is a no, but not all of it.
Sure. Yeah. No, I understand completely. So to recap what we've been talking about today, I really believe that the gloves need to come off. I think that we need to have honest conversations. And if we would vet a vehicle that we're buying harder than we're vetting our politicians, we really have a problem because those people are making.
Have you ever dealt with a car buyer? Boy, they lack it some vetting right there.
I mean, I would agree with that, but like my father-in-law, he is great at vetting cars. Like he will go through and look at reviews. He'll find out everything's wrong. Like he will tell me what's going to happen to my car before it actually breaks down. He's like, it's about 3 weeks out from when your transmission going to go out, and sure enough, 3 weeks it's going to go out. Now he may be causing that, I don't know, but I think we should vet our politicians the same way. I think we need to look at the reviews. We need to look at the positive and the negative. Not everything's going to be truthful. We have to understand that. But there usually is some truth in every bit of information that you get on that side. I'm not endorsing either candidate either way on this. I think that they both have potential in different directions. I hate the special election because I don't think there's time to actually get to know the candidates, to prepare for it, and I'm sure they don't care for it either. But it's something that has to happen when you have a vacancy. I really, one of my, I would call him a friend, one of my friends stepped down, but I'm going to go ahead and say this. I really don't like the fact that a politician would step down from one of those positions without some sort of life-altering event. I understand that we all have personal reasons, but when you're elected to that position, it's the same thing as saying I'm going to show up from 8 to 5 o'clock at work. That's what I feel like. But it's put us in this position. I feel like the county of Cullman has been unrepresented for a little while now, about a year, if not more, because these decisions don't just happen. You're thinking about it for a long time, stepping down. So how much has been done in preparation for that? How much has been, I'm not going to say sandbag, but how much has been missed or not pushed forward as far as the agenda goes? We can't really go into that now, but what I'll say is make sure you take stock in your elections. Make sure you know what district you're in. Make sure you know if you're voting or not. Make your vote be heard. Talk to your politicians, talk to your candidates, talk to your actual representatives, and try and make a difference in your own community. I'm going to end it with that, Dom. You got anything else?
Nope.
All right, you guys have a great day.